Good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to IPOA's 2007 Annual Summit with their focus on communication, cooperation, and coordination in peace and stability and disaster relief operations. This conference, actually, a lot of it stems from my academic background and field research. The idea for this conference, where I visited some peacekeeping operations that were messy, to say the least. We often say that international peace operations are marginally better than the alternative of complete and total war. But we can do better. And I think the private sector actually has a pretty key role in helping with stability in peace operations. In the next 2 days, we're going to bring together experts from all the key stakeholders active in conflict, post-conflict, and post-disaster environments. From the IPOA perspective, of course, these things can be done better, these operations, and done more professionally and ethically than we have in the past. The private sector, the private companies, many of who are represented here today, we are not decision makers. We don't decide which peace operation is going to take place, which stability operation is going to take place, but we are critical players in making sure these operations are successful. We do a lot of the heavy lifting, a lot of the key services that make these operations work. Clients, governments, NGOs, others who hire our companies should expect and demand that private firms they hire do the work with the highest levels of professionalism and ethics. Effective oversight, transparency, and accountability are key to our industry's success, and IPOA has been supporting legislation and international projects along these lines for a long time. At last year's annual summit, the 2006 Summit on Ethical Security, compared to that summit, I should say, we have a broader focus this year. We also have a broader and larger membership of IPOA. We're truly global. We have companies from around the world. We're up to almost 40 companies right now. And we're truly diverse. We have logistics, security, aviation, leasing, armoring, training, advising, medical services, specialized dog services, insurance, global tracking, intelligence, and everything else you can imagine that's critical to peace and stability operations. Most of our membership is actually represented today. I'd like to thank our sponsors. The gold sponsor, of course, DynCorp. Thank you very much. Silver sponsor is EODT, and then we have bronze sponsorships from Agility Logistics, Armor Group, IAG, which is International Armored Group, MPRI, Olive Group, Overseas Lease Group, and Terra Concepts. We have a good mix of people today. We have diplomats, academics, NGOs, government folks, students, military, and we're bringing a wide range of perspectives. We urge everyone to be open, honest, and courteous in terms of our discussions today. Should also emphasize we have members of the press here today, and we're delighted. We think it's great that some journalists are here taking time to learn about our industry and learn about our trade association. There's a lot of conventional wisdom which is not really wisdom. It's good if you are able to find out what's really going on, and we're glad you're here to do that. The more accurate and honest the coverage, the better it is for our industry. We truly believe that. IPOA is a standards-bearing, member-led association. Our board of directors is made up of all the member companies in our association. They support us financially, they give us direction, and they jealously support and protect IPOA's standards and our distinctive code of conduct. So before I introduce this morning's keynote speaker, I want to introduce the chairman of IPOA's board of directors. Armor Group is a company that early on recognized the value of a unique trade association, think tank, advocacy group that IPOA is about, focusing on private sector professionalism and ethics in conflict and post-conflict environments. They've been one of IPOA's strongest backers from the beginning. We were fortunate that a year ago, one of Armor Group's senior vice presidents was elected by our member companies to be chairman of IPOA's board of directors. There's supposedly an ancient Chinese curse that may you live in interesting times. When Jim Schmidt took over as chairman of IPOA's board of directors, I suspect somebody cursed him with, "May you chair IPOA in interesting times." He has done so with a steady skill and will be handing over his chair tomorrow, but he leaves IPOA larger and stronger than ever. For a few words, Jim Schmidt.
Thanks, Doug. Well, I think we all live in interesting times, and I think we all can be appreciative of that because we're actually placed here to make a difference. And when Doug asked me to say a few words, the first thing I thought which would be relevant would be really who we are, what are we doing, and where are we going? Now, I realize that could probably take about a week. So we'll keep that actually fairly short, and I'll just touch on some of those points, some of which Doug has already brought up, and I won't actually go into that. But many of you have come from very, very far away. You've come from Sweden to to Switzerland. You've come from Madison, Wisconsin to Glasgow, Scotland. You've come from national and international level policy shops to provincial reconstruction teams in Iraq and Afghanistan. So we have quite a spectrum of individuals, and we're very, very appreciative that you're here. As far as who we are, as a representative of the member-based organization, we actually are comprised of 38 companies, different companies, and growing. Now, Doug went through a list of the skill sets and the different categories that we actually operate, but the one commonality that we all have is that we operate and we believe in the private sector support to stability support operations. Not just post-conflict or phase 4, as DoD would say, but in phase 0, which is the setting the conditions for stability. It's an important distinction, and it's really where we believe the market to be moving to. Of course, also as a company, with having such a diverse membership base, there is a commonality that we believe in how we deliver our services. Simply put, we believe that the right organization should be doing the right thing at the right place, at the right time, in the right way. And it's very critical to us, and Doug had actually mentioned the code of conduct that we live by. It's not just an empty code that's actually listed on paper that we ignore and file away or we bring out for press conferences. It's something we truly practice. It's something that we actually hold accountable to each and every one of us by the member companies. Of course, there's other things that we also lead and insist upon as foundational aspects of the association. We choose and try to engage with the right stakeholders, such as yourself. To that extent, we work with the United States government and other state parliamentary offices to affect change for oversight. Many of you are familiar with the price bill that is currently has gone through the recent legislative process. IPOA was early involved in that with the endorsement and the creation of the expansion of the Military Extraterritorial Jurisdictional Act, which expands more oversight to all aspects of private sector companies. We also worked early on with the Department of Defense to help them train and engage with private sector and private security companies specifically prior to deploying into theaters of Iraq and Afghanistan. So we believe in engagement with the correct stakeholders. That extends actually to humanitarian organizations, to other members of multinational organizations such as the UN, and also to other trade organizations. And we believe this because we believe it's responsible and it's in our collective interest to do so. We also think closely aligned to that is the importance of credibility. And it gets back again to the code of conduct and our commitment to standards and operational and ethical excellence. It's not empty, and over the next 2 days, hopefully you'll have a chance to talk about that. I believe the code of conduct is now published in over 10 languages. It's something that we take, again, very seriously. And finally, we believe that it has to be relevant to what we're doing. And as this industry changes, it's important that we change with it to understand how our services in the private sector are best utilized in support of stability operations. One of the things that we've done this year is the Peace Operations Institute. That actually contributes to the general body of best practices and knowledge for the industry. And I would invite all of you here to discuss that with some of the members that you'll find within the association here, as well as the staff. And finally, we believe in effective communication. And you will see in your package the Journal of International Peace Operations Institute, which has grown tremendously under the helm of Doug Brooks and J.J. Mesner and Derek Wright and the staff at IPOA, which is truly something that is being read throughout many places throughout the world. Finally, it's enough to know, it is something and enough to know what we're doing, but again, where are we going? And I will tell you that from an association perspective, from our view, it's very key that we continue to assisting in the state's regulatory process. And that's not just the United States, that would be in the UK and any other state that is actually utilizing contracted services in the stability support, phase 0, phase 4 type operations. We believe in working with stakeholders of the states, to include Congress, the direct agencies, the humanitarian agencies, and the organizations that develop the best practices for the use of our services. And we will continue to do this in the future. And finally, as a member company associations, we ourselves hold ourselves accountable to our standards, and we really do this. And I invite you to, again, engage with us to see some of the practices that we engage in to ensure that the standards of which we espouse to as members of the association remain steadfast in the future. You know, this week's Economist, many of you have noticed, had a leader story of brains, not bullets, as the future of conflict. I would like to extend that to say the future of stability is brains, not bullets. And here in the next 2 days, we hope we can discuss that further. Thank you very much.